What's up guys, Tyler with UltraCore Systems here. I actually have my personal rig with me today. I'm actually going to be swapping it over to this new case, the Tower 300. This is the Corsair 2500X. I've loved it. Nothing's wrong, but it's just time for a change for me. And fun fact, sneak peek, this is actually the tower for the next giveaway build, but it's going to be in a different color. So we're going to give you guys what it's going to look like, but just with my build. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So first things first, obviously we got to get all the parts out of the tower. I'll try to speed this part up and be as quick as possible because realistically we just want to see the parts going into the new build, so let's go ahead and get started. First thing, we're probably going to have to take out the graphics card. One, because it's the most expensive part. Well, actually I take that back. I think RAM's like the most expensive part. This is a 4080 Super and I think it cost me around $1,000 or $2,000. I can't remember, but these Dominators right now in the current market are worth $1,400. So let's be more careful with these things, I guess. Make sure I have it the right way, not strip any screws. And the nice thing about the new tower is I don't have to worry about a GPU support. In these older towers, they kind of developed these before these massive graphics cards came out. So actually, if you can see right here, I have a GPU support in there. All these new towers have it in there. So Corsair, step up your game, man. They probably have them in the new ones, but I have an older tower, so I'm not going to hold it. So Corsair's a great company. I have a good connection there, and I've been using their parts for so long, but I think soon I'm going to be switching to Lee & Lee fans. But right now, let's just start with what we got, right? All right, let's get this son of a gun out. It's getting stuck here. Where? There we go. It's a big boy still. All right. I usually like to get the fans out of the way before I just go right into the motherboard, but the problem is here is this is still attached. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna we're gonna remove the AIO, and then we'll be able to probably slide this out pretty easily. All right. I think I just replaced the thermal paste too, so I'm kind of sad about that. I'm gonna have to do it again, but sometimes a nice, refreshing build will make you want to game again. And I've been losing steam this winter. There hasn't been really any games that I've been wanting to play. If you guys have any recommendations, let me know. But yeah, just because whilst, you know, current season's over, waiting on the new expansion until March, I'm kind of in that dead zone. So I was like, you know what, I'll make something more interesting. I'll just change my rig, maybe freshen it up a bit. That should be good. Oh, we got one more. Shoot. Let's see how this ThermalTake is holding up too. Curious out of you guys, you know, what's your typical thermal paste pattern? I usually like to go with the X. I feel like there's really no true answer of what the best way to apply it is, but I believe it's the X. You guys can do whatever you want. I mean, it used to be the P size for so long until they increased the size of CPUs, so gotta find some isopropyl, got it right here, and paper towels. So let's get this thing cleaned up. Alright, so I got some isopropyl alcohol and a little paper towel. And let's get the CPU cleaned up. Alright. That's out of the way. Let's get the AIO out of the system here. What's really nice is these new Corsair fans that came out a couple years back, they have that new daisy chain feature, so it's actually pretty easy to remove the cords. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that really quick. I'm also a mess, so I'm trying to keep everything organized, you know. So all right, let's remove these. Okay, I know you guys can't see this, but so I'll speed this part up. I got a good grip of it. Let's get the screw. And where is it hanging on to? Let's see. I think it's just one cord if I believe correctly. Look how hard it is to get these things out. Sorry if you see my hair. There we go. Oh, there's one more. Son of a gun. Alright, that should be good, I think, hopefully. Where's it hanging on? I feel like, oh, we got another one here. It's been a while. Resetting this up is going to be a pain. Alright, so we got the AIO out, so let's go ahead and try to unplug everything and get this motherboard out of here as well, and then it's pretty smooth sailing from there. Yeah, I don't see anything else. Okay, now let's be very careful and get this motherboard out without damaging any prongs or whatever. Surprisingly, this thing's kind of heavy too. So, all right. So we got the motherboard out. I'll clean this up a little more before I put it into the new build, but let's go ahead and set it to the side. So really, all that's left is removing these fans. Kind of boring stuff, but I'll go ahead and try to fast forward this to get it to the new tower, and then we'll start putting things in the new tower. All right, so we managed to get all the parts out. So let's go ahead and break this thing down and start putting the new parts in this new tower, and then that way you guys can see what it looks like for the future giveaway build. And there we go. All right, front panel off. All right, and these ones actually, same thing, do they just kind of pop off like that? So they kind of, super easy to get off. They really thought this case through. The only issue, sorry, I'm just setting this stuff down, that people complained about is you see the top cords, which I'll show you later, but they see the top cords up here. Nate actually was super cool, and I gotta find him. Sorry, it's a mess in this room. But some guy actually, shout out, I gotta figure out the user, but he created a design to hide all the cords up here. So Nate 3D printed it. We're gonna put this in, it's gonna hide all the cables and look super clean. We will do this in our giveaway build too. What's really nice is it comes with the, a lot of cords, back case, and stuff for cable management. So we'll be using that for sure. So we got a lot of parts to play with here. What is this though? That's what I want to know. I don't know. I'm not gonna worry about that. But we got all the screws. Let's get this out. My only complaint is they made this part black, which I don't get, but whatever, a ThermalTake, this should be white. This should be white. If it's in another tower, I'm gonna buy it, return it, and take that out of it because I'm mad. So first things first, and I don't like how they didn't do white cables for the tower, but you know, it's okay to have a little black in this build. I'm not that mad. All right, so what did I want to do first? Yes, I wanted to see if this would work with the motherboard. So let me just take this a la carte right now. All right, so the problem with this thing is you can't, well actually, you won't see much RGB when it comes here. But now that I think about it, it might actually work. All right, so let's get the motherboard in. All right, she's not going anywhere. We got the thing in. So I'll give you guys a different angle of what I'm talking about with this motherboard cord, but let's go ahead and get that in because this is the most important thing. There. All right, so we got a different look here. As you can see, here's the motherboard cord. We're able to get it in. So I prefer the strimmers. I'm probably not gonna buy it. So if these work out, I'm probably gonna send it for the build on the next one. But here's the problem. Look, I think that's what I remember. And I don't want it to push on the cable here because this has to go all the way back here. We could screw new pilot holes to kind of move it up, which isn't a bad idea. But in order for this to fit, it kind of has to go like that. So you really won't see too much of a cord, but you know what? At the end of the day, as long as you can see some of it, I think that's all I care about, right? We're good. Okay, we're gonna leave it as is. It's in, that's all that matters. It's not too tight. So now let's go ahead and get the AIO. So I'm gonna adjust the camera here. So now we're gonna put the AIO on the side here and we're gonna have it come down and around here and we should be good. All right, so real quick, Nate did remind me, I had this wrong. I forgot there's only LED on the front and back and I had this thing sideways. So my bad, I'm stupid, but we fixed it. So now let's put the AIO in. All right, so we're gonna have to take a side approach for this because it's very awkward on how to get this in. So everything's connected here. I need the right angle cord for the bottom here for the fans because it's connected to the thing, but these have to daisy chain. So I'm gonna put this one in and hopefully that's the right one. Like I said, I haven't done this loop in a while, but we have to put it in through here. So what's nice is it's just on the outside. So all I have to do is slide this thing in and then screw it in. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll get this out. I do like these new daisy chain systems, but sometimes they can be confusing, and especially if you haven't done it in a while. But luckily for me, I'm usually the one building everything. So let's go ahead and put this guy in. All right, now let's screw this in. And I usually like to keep the AIO at the top because you'll see more of the fan in here and you get more leeway and more cord. So we're gonna go max height on the AIO here. But if you actually see, look, they actually mark it so they have the 12 or the 14, which you guys know what that means. It's either 140 or 120 millimeter. But this thing can fit a lot. And they actually just came out the new Tower 250, which can only fit 120 size fans, but it's for micro, or it's not micro, ITX motherboards, which is really cool. I want to do and build in that. So if you guys want to do that, or if you want me to do that for a giveaway, let me know. Sorry if I can't speak and do things at the same time. I'm a terrible multitasker. And that's the wrong way. All right, so we got the AIO in, so let's go ahead and take a look at the front. All right, so the AIO is in. Guys, I know the orientation is wrong, but I'm gonna do reverse fans up here. The airflow might not be the best, but this tower is large enough that the airflow inside is gonna be good and the PC is never gonna overheat. Nor do I play any of those heavy intensive games to make it happen. But we got 120s here, got a 120 here. Again, you could do 140 here, 140 here, but I wanted to use the strimmer cable, so you have to use the 120. The AIO looks nice in here. We'll fix the cables and everything, and I'll cable manage that all off screen. But really, I'm just trying to get all the parts in just to show you guys what it looks like. So, but next, let's go ahead and get the GPU in before I actually mount the AIO. And actually, I'm gonna get all these cords in because those are important. And you're not gonna be able to get to it the moment you put the GPU in. So we're gonna do that. All right, so let's go ahead and get the graphics card in now. And then that way because we have all the cables plugged in here, so I don't have to worry about accessing these again. I always recommend doing these first because it's gonna be a pain in the ass to get it around the graphics card. So let's go ahead and get the graphics card in, and then we can kind of move on to wrapping things up and getting the AIO plugged in. All right. Let's get this unscrewed here. Should be the top two. Again, my only complaint again is that if it's a white build and you guys call it snow, you should have all these parts being white. A lot of other towers do it. I don't know why they don't, but it doesn't bother me enough, but it just bothers me. Okay, it does bother me enough, I'm lying. Okay, well, anyway, let's get the graphics card in. So I always recommend, it's a kind of a tight fit in here, so coming underneath and then having it rest in there so you don't damage anything. And there, she's in. So now the graphics card in, it looks really clean. So let's go ahead and get this screwed in with these mounting screws, and then we can get the AIO in and then kind of wrap up the things by putting the fans on the top and the bottom and getting this thing turned on. And we also have an, oh, let me move this. We also have an LCD panel we want to put here. So Nate's gonna 3D print a white case for it because they only sell black, but I'll show you that, you guys. I'll show you guys that in a later video. So back to the motherboard here. So sorry if you guys can hear some background music, but there's a yoga studio down below and they're getting after it. But let's go ahead and get the AIO installed. We'll put some new thermal paste on. Don't judge, but I like the X pattern. I feel like it never fails me and I always have great temps. And yes, I would like to use Thermal Grizzly right now, but I don't have any, so I'll replace it one day. But the main point is to getting this stuff on the CPU now. So let's do a nice little X pattern here. Fun fact, I actually like to do a kind of like a Z pattern and then draw all on the sides. You guys might think this is a lot of thermal paste, but it's never a bad idea to have too much thermal paste. So it looks like a lot, but it's not, I swear. Okay, well now let's screw this back on. We'll get the orientation and then we'll get the screws in place. Okay, so she's on, so it's placing down. So now let's go ahead and get this thing screwed in, but I'm very OCD, so I'm gonna work on centering this really quick. Looks straight. We'll clean it. I'll do a bit of self-care at home, wiping off the screen and everything, but at least it's on. All right, so what's really nice is they actually have a cable management strip here, so I'm actually gonna be able to hide a lot of these cables. But right now I'm just kind of cleaning things up just to get things organized before I put more parts in. If I actually scroll down just a bit, that's where the power supply goes in, and this is a shroud, so you actually have to unscrew this to then put it on the power supply, which is right over there if you see it. So let me grab this. So this is actually an SFX power supply, which is a smaller one. I prefer them, but I'm actually going to be installing it in here. And what's really nice is this Asus one comes with a plate where it can fit in any full-size power supply. So let's go ahead and get this in. All right, so all we got to do is slide this boy in. And now we just have to make sure we get the screws in place here, and she's good to go. So let's go ahead and do that. It's all set and done, and the reason why I put it upside down is because I want the exhaust at the bottom. I know, probably not ideal, but there's enough spacage here so it should push it out. But there's also RGB on my power supply, so there'll be a nice RGB underglow because I already have an RGB fan on the top, so that way it doesn't overlap. All right, so let's go ahead and get this top capsule off. I always forget how to do it. I think it's back here. Yeah, okay, so it just pops off. And then make sure you be careful because you have USB ports here. But as you can see, we actually have two fans here, right? So these are actually both 140mm fans. I unfortunately only have size 120s. I don't feel like ordering more, but you can put, the bracket up here has it to where you could fit either the 120s or the 140. I recommend getting the 140 for this and the back, and even if you can get a 140 down on where I put my 120 fan, but I wanted to fit the Lee and Lee cable, so I'm gonna stick with the 120 fan down there. But again, for the back and the top, for better airflow, I'd recommend getting 140s. So let's go ahead and get this off. It's actually pretty simple. It just unscrews like this. You can just do this one here and this one here. And then just kind of lifts up like that. Fun fact too is that's actually how you get to the USB slots on the motherboard. And it's a pain in the ass, but once it's in, there's actually back slots here where you can kind of cable manage. But if you actually look here, this is where that 3D printed thing comes into play. So Nate was actually super cool to do that for me, and it actually fits just right in there, so you won't even notice. So it's like a little shroud. It looks clean and it'll make it look better. So again, shout out Nate for doing that for me. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this kind of cleaned up here. And actually, I'm just messing around with it. Let's go ahead and get this cleaned up here, and then yeah, we're on our way to the next part of the build. So let's go ahead and get these new fans installed right here. Take it out, because again, these are just, they provide you with two, but I mean, they're gonna do what they're big fans. I mean, you can technically put them, but I love RGB. I don't know, I'm weird, but let's go ahead and get the 120s installed. So off camera, I actually screwed in the fans because they're actually these new screws where you don't really need a drill or electric screwdriver to screw them in. It's literally just one twist. So shout out to Corsair for making these new fan screws. They're amazing, and I hope every other company does it. But pretty much all this does is just sit on top of this and you screw these in. But again, this is how you get to the cords. Again, you should have 140s here, but you can't have 120s. There's a slot for both. Honestly, it really doesn't matter, but I have to use this slot here. So the problem with the fans is you got to make sure you daisy chain them correctly. So I'll have that, and then this will run down the back here. I got to get it fit in that slot. But essentially what this will do for me is make it easier on my life to open and close this. So like when I do this, it'll still open and close. So this is all taken care of. Again, it's going to be a pain to get to all the ports because you have to do it over here, and it all has to run through the back. But again, you're taking the risk when you have a tower. So if you're okay with it, what I did is I got an Alex cable and I ran it through the back, and it actually hides all the cords. So yeah, we'll show you what that looks like at a later date, but let's go ahead and finish up this build. All right, so what I love about these towers is they have these side things to hide all the cables. So like actually, I don't really know if you guys know, but I cable manage it pretty well. The only thing that I have to do now is install. So I took off the back panel, and this is where you put those two fans. Again, They have slots here for the 140 and 120 millimeter, but I'm going to put the 120 on because, again, I don't have 140, but really essentially what these are, they're going to sit on the back, and then you're just going to pop it up, and it gives a little bit of more airflow on your motherboard to help keep things cool for the CPU. So I'm going to do this off camera, and then I'll just kind of take a little clip of me putting it on. All right, so we got the 120s installed. There's only one problem, is that actually the double 120s on the Tower 300 don't work well with the daisy chain because there's too much spacing. I don't know if this was a design flaw or what, but pretty much I only have 4 screws securing it, but they have the Corsair has strong magnet, like I'm pulling on it right now. It has strong magnets, so it's not gonna fall or anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this installed and then connect all the cords, and we should be good to go. And then we'll fire this thing up and show you guys what it looks like. All right, so we got the back panel on. Let's go ahead and get the top panel and fire this thing up for the first time. It's always scary, but this has been a working PC, so nothing should be a problem, but hey, you never know. I'm an idiot, so sometimes things can just crash on me. So let's go ahead and see what this thing can do. All right, guys, she's all put together. I think it looks incredible, but let's go ahead and pull off the plastic off the glass for the final touch. Yep, so. Wow. And I think this one has a little sticker on it, so let's go ahead and just do this. Oh yeah, baby. Wow. I mean, just look at that. That thing is a beauty. All right, let's get this thing turned on. All right, guys, so this thing was so much fun to build in. Honestly, no case is perfect. It took me a while to figure out some of the wiring, but it's all done, and I love it. I'm so excited to bring this home and put it on my setup. Again, this is what the next giveaway build is going to be. The RGB doesn't look as good right now, but the reason being is because I have all these studio lights on. Also, a quick note, I'm going to be doing a short of a black version, so make sure you guys take a look for that one too.